Hey, in today's video, I'm going to be doing a review of the Phottix Juno Speedlight. Now, this is the non-TTL version, and that's very important to get that out there up front because this has a very, in my opinion, specific application. Now, speedlights, if you buy the own brand ones, your Canon, your Nikon, are extremely expensive. When I bought my first sort of off-camera flash setup, it was a Canon 580EX2, a pocket wizard, a Manfrotto sort of umbrella bracket, Manfrotto light stand. It was probably around £700 all in. But nowadays we can get it for much cheaper, almost as good. Some things are better, some things they've let slip by the wayside. But these Phottix lights are really good. Now, these were sent to me by the Flash Centre because I asked for them. They're not sort of, there's no affiliation here. There's no money going between us. It's completely independent. I spoke to the guys. I rent from them all the time. They're my sort of go-to rental company, as well as where I buy my stuff from, at retail price, I should add. And I just said, I want some stuff to review. Let me see what you've got, and I want to have a look at this stuff here. There are loads of Chinese off-brand speedlights and things you can buy for less than this, more than this, the same price. There's a lot out there. But the interesting thing with Phottix is its compatibility with Elinchrom. So it's something which you can buy now and sort of have it invested in the future. And I'm going to do a load of reviews on their kit because I think it's quite interesting. It's also interesting that there's a UK supplier because if something goes wrong, I can phone Kev up and say, Kev, mate, got a problem with this, and he'll sort me out. Whereas if something goes wrong with something you've bought from the other side of the world, it goes in the bin. This speedlight actually has a strobe on it, and when I say strobe, some people just call these strobes. I mean strobe as in you can do so many flashes by so many hertz in one thing. So you see those lovely dancing photos. I'm about to do a bit of a dance here, where they sort of go woo like this, and it freezes it here, 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 and here. This will do it. And at the price point, I think these are under £100. That is great. Now it comes with a nice pouch, which is good. You also get this diffusion dome, which causes a lot of confusion. These things here, they do not soften light, they diffuse light. To soften light, it'd have to make it bigger. This does not make it bigger, but it does diffuse it. Personally, I'm not a fan of them, but I know a lot of people, especially in the wedding industry, they use these when these in direct flash outside. So it comes in this nice little pouch. And the Speedlight itself is as well built, as far as I can tell, as my Canon Speedlights. Now, I don't have the latest 600s because I didn't see the point in buying them. But for my 580EX2s, this is a very close competitor in terms of build. Now, the thing I really like about the build quality, if you've ever bought a cheap Chinese knockoff flash, it comes with one of those screw-on bits where you attach this to the hot shoe. You then go outside, the temperature changes, someone mysteriously tightens it so much that you could never get it off again. You rip your fingers to pieces, you swear at it, you end up getting a wrench out trying to undo it. But they've done a proper Canon style or Nikon style or whoever else does these latch to get this on and off. And it's little things like that which make a difference, especially if you're a wedding photographer and you're going from shooting with your flash on your camera to going, right, I need this off, I need a trigger on. And if you're dealing with these really annoying little screwy things, it could be a nightmare. I've been jammed on before and just gone, right, well, this camera here for the day is only having a flash on it. Now, this flash doesn't have TTL. It has a single pin in the middle, which means it will pretty much work on any camera. The only cameras I've seen which these don't work on are the Minolta from back in the day. I had a Minolta Dynax 5 and it had some weird flash thing going on, but this will work with pretty much any mainstream brand of camera. And the absolute deal breaker for me with any flash is this port here. This port is where the battery pack plugs into it. I am way beyond dealing with AA batteries being charged every day. For me, you have to be able to put a power pack into it. You plug it in here and you've basically got a month's supply of flash, and the AA's just charge the actual LCD screen. Now, the actual rear of this looks a lot like the Canon Speedlight. I'm not familiar with Nikon ones, but it's very much like a Canon one in terms of where everything is. It's well put together. It makes sense. It just works. Now, with it being non-TTL, this flash here is ideal for off-camera flash work. So whether it's a studio, my first ever studio was ran by these sorts of things with AA batteries charging off the walls because I got free electricity. And if you're shooting weddings, these are great at weddings, portrait work, food photography, whatever you're doing, the Speedlight is a great entry into off-camera flash. And this particular one, because it's manual exposure only, and you don't need TTL for off-camera flash, if anything, it's going to hold you back, is absolutely perfect. So, they also make this, which is, I'm reading it off the box, the Phottix Juno, which I don't really think that's how you pronounce it, but this is a hot shoe mount. So if you're looking at getting into off-camera flash, you'll probably start with the Speedlight, then you go for something a bit more robust, maybe with a battery pack, then maybe eventually a huge studio head. This means that you can use the same modifiers with everything you have. And this particular one is built very well. I actually have some other ones that I bought on the internet years ago, and they're a bit plasticky, they're not great. If you put a really big modifier on it, it sort of shears the teeth that grip together on the pivot. So great bit of kit, and you're also going to need a trigger. Now, when I started out in flash, most of my flash kit's quite old because I'm tight. But when I started out, you had a Pocket Wizard and a Canon or Nikon flash. That was it. There were no options. And I had the really fancy Flex TT5 Pocket Wizards, which did high-speed sync. It was awesome. Now, there's no digital readout on them. You had to plug them in and calibrate them to each camera. They were so temperamental, you were never quite sure whether you were going to have flash that day. A lot's moved on since then, and these guys here, for the price, they come with a digital LCD. You've got your groups, your channels. It's not a high-speed flash one because it's more of a manual monkey see, monkey do sort of thing. I'm not actually a fan of high-speed flash anymore because I overdid it so much over the years. But these are great. I've used these in the studio. They work absolutely fine. And they have some weird thing where the whole Phottix system sort of works well with the Elinchrom system. So if you are looking at expanding in the future into something more premium like the Elinchrom, the Phottix is a great way to go into that. Now, I did a test shoot with all of these things that I got. I had some Elinchrom lights, some Phottix lights, some LEDs, flashes, studio heads, a whole range of things. Now, the most premium thing I had was a set of Elinchrom lights, and that's what we sort of set the benchmark with. So we set up this shot, we used a bit of scrim paper, we sort of did a weird flagging thing on the background to get a shaft of light. And I must say the Speedlight was very close to the Elinchrom. Now, I've used these sorts of Speedlights a lot, and I hammered it a few times, and the color consistency did waver a little bit, but because we're using a single light source, it didn't matter. There was no issue with that. Now, the Elinchrom will have more consistent lighting, but obviously the price is umpteen times more. So it's not as straightforward as just going, well, it doesn't do this perfectly. When you're looking at something at this price point, £100 or less, there's going to be some sort of give and take here. Now, this will be a problem for you if you're shooting e-commerce on a seamless white and throughout the day the white background changes colour. There's going to be a lot of retouching. But for most of us, it just doesn't matter. For my line of work, with the food work, most of my stuff's a one light setup. Granted, I only post the really elaborate things because it looks cool. But generally speaking, my shots are one light setup. So for me, this would work fine. If I'm on location, I would absolutely take this flash. I've actually got a shoot coming up soon where I'm on location, which is a rarity for me, so I may well be borrowing this flash to give it a proper go on a commercial job. Now, the amount of light this puts out is decent. We got a good exposure. It was competitive with the 100-watt Elinchrom light we had. It's not going to compete with a 500-watt or a 1600-watt or a 3200-watt studio pack or head. You know, they're completely different things at different price points. But for most of us, if you need to f8 with a portrait, this Speedlight will do the job. You know, the whole setup, if you take a £10 light stand, £15 roll of tracing paper, we're looking at, you know, £100, £120 setup to create this image. And I think you're going to be hard pushed to beat that. So the pros for me, the price point, absolutely. Being able to buy it in a physical shop in the UK, it sounds really silly, but if you're going to invest in a system, you don't want to have 6 Speedlights and then 2 years later they're all having faults, need repairs, and you can't get hold of anybody, there's no one to call. That's one of the reasons I haven't gone for certain other brands of Chinese lighting. Because of the quantities that I use stuff in, it's not about whether it works when I first get it out of the box, it's whether it works in a year's time. The latch on the bottom of this is an absolute game changer for me in terms of cheap off-camera flashes. I don't think any of mine have these. This is brilliant. I love this. The ability to put a battery in, absolutely great. The single pin means that when I'm running workshops, if I'm running between different camera brands, it just works for me. I don't have to worry about which one. And also, if you change camera brands, which a lot of people do regularly, your flash system comes with you if you're using the non-TTL version. Now, the downsides for me, and I'm going to sort of take price out of this because it is so cheap, you can't expect everything, but color consistency is a downside. Now, to get great color consistency, you're looking at spending thousands. So it's not really something I should be complaining about at this price point. It's really a good light, but it's not going to compete with the likes of an Elinchrom Pro Pack, but it's also not thousands of pounds. So, you know, that's the only real negative for me. All in all, pretty impressed with this system. I definitely use it. I'd use it at my workshops. I'd use it for my personal work. I'd also use it on a commercial job. without a doubt. It's such a simple piece of kit. There's nothing to go wrong with it. It's well built. It gets the job done. I'd have no qualms using this on a proper commercial shoot for a big client if this specification fitted the needs. Obviously, if I need a 1200 watt light, I'm not going to use this instead. But if we're doing some portraits inside, I'm pretty sure I've got a job coming up soon where this would be applicable. And if I do use it, I'll make sure I pop a video up in my vlog for it as well. So I hope that review's of use to you. I'm going to pop some links in the description below. They're not affiliate links. I don't get a kickback. I don't get any cash. I'm not being paid for any of this. I just thought you guys would find it interesting. Thank you very much.